Well, they're in more trouble as Kim dishes it over. Free ball. Nicolina sets. And she can pick a spot, Chebukina. Their spirits lifting, smiles on their faces. They've taken a stranglehold on this set. And it's only a couple of minutes old. Menshova serves again. Confusion amongst the Koreans. A dig from Tashenko. Baraktina, back set for Menshova. The block partially did the job. Blocking on her own, Artemanova. Set again for G on this side. Oh, a brave effort from Nicolina. Trying to set it up, lying on her back. Wouldn't that have been something if they could have continued the rally from there? But side out Korea, and Kim Nam-soon to try and settle it down. Love 8. What a scoreline. Extraordinary. Nicolina out wide for Artemanova. G from way outside. And they can't chase that down. Tashenko jogs after it half-heartedly. It was well out of range.
I think the problem for them, Steve, has been you've seen 2 or 3 players at times running after the same ball, and there's another cheap point, or a cheap side out to the Russians at least. Not only have they been chasing the ball, it's left lots of space for the Russians to exploit in this third set, and they've made the most of it up till now. 8-1 they lead, and that's better digging from the Russians as well. For G, up goes the block. Chance for Nicolina to set. Chebukina says put it to Artemanova. It's going to come straight back and out. And that will be 9-1 to Russia. Well, really, if they don't take this third set, then something will be exceedingly wrong. Nicolina just watching it out, making sure, and that's been the difference. Oh, lovely reach from Nicolina. Chebukina for Artemanova, the touch, and it's the right touch. For 10-1, the crowd is going absolutely crazy now. They have visions of China in that final against Cuba. And
this is a different side. The Russians just haven't shown us this kind of form. We know they're capable of it.
Well, how much will they be regretting dropping that opening set, because 3-love and they could have gone through to the final themselves.
4 times Olympic champions, 68, 72, 80 and 88. Silver in Barcelona. On paper, a vastly superior side to Korea. They've got the height, the experience, but they showed none of it in the first set, and all of it now at 10-1 in the third. And the crowd here sensing that China might be alongside Cuba in the final if the Russians continue to play like this. Baraktina to continue at 10-1. Yong. Lee sets, and the spike from Park. And side out.
Start.
Rattled, shocked. And Park Soo-jung serves. Chebukina. Tashenko for Artemanova. Well, the crowd, I'm sure, while they want the Russians to win, they're also enjoying that standard of play. It's enthusiasm for what's happening on the court as well as what it might mean for China. Side out there for Korea. She goes back to serve at 110. We're not going to concede the set, but boy, it's a long way back from 110. Nicolina sets. Tashenko into the block and out. Well, Nicolina might be the star, but she's got 5 other players who are also playing out of their skins. Artemanova, jump serve. Big dig just to get it. Kim into the block. And Tashenko and Nicolina can't control it. The serve is with Lee.
Koreans really struggling at 110. And that's a free point, though. Well, they can do with a few more of those. Lee Do-hee will be happy if she can serve for the rest of the evening like that. Miscommunication between Chebukina and Baraktina, but they get it right this time, and Lee Do-hee acknowledges the mistake to her teammates. Well, just 5 points still for the Russians to take this third set and come back for a 2-1 lead. Nicolina served it up. G. Artemanova has flicked it up. Nicolina called and got it, and Menshova, and that was great play by the Russians, but the Koreans keep it alive. This time it's Kim. Good blocking, but just wide. That was a super rally. Side out to Korea then at 210, which Hong Yi-yeon will take. Chebukina underneath. Badaktina will be missed out. Menshova instead. And it lands in front of Hong Yi-yeon, who really has had no joy at the back of the court in this third set. Off is coming Tischenko. Morozova makes her first appearance in this third set, which the Russians are still completely in charge of. And there's some familiar faces. Luis Herrera, Mireia Luis Herrera in the pink. World's #1 player and already led Cuba to the final. And here to see what is the outcome of this. And the outcome of that rally is a little bit of misfortune for the Russians. They all tipped it past each other. And it drops for the Koreans. Another side out then at 2-10. Struggling really to stay alive in this set at all. It's a deep one. Chebukina is underneath it. Nikolina sets wide for Badaktina, and off the block for another side out to Russia at 10-2 in front. This time it will be Menshova to serve. And the Koreans, well, they've steadied the ship at the moment. It was an 8-love lead, and they've held them at 10-2 for a while, and they won't now. Chebukina with the block for 11-2. And the Russians, well, there's an inevitability about this at the moment. Well, it wasn't Chebukina, it was Artemanova with the block, in fact. And here's Menshova to put them that step closer. It's going to be G, and a good block, and this time it was Chebukina. Smiles all over her face for 12-2. Menshova will serve. There it is again, just eluding Kim Young-suk. Menshova serves at 12-2. A deep one, Lee Do-hee. And this time the Koreans have got it right through Park Soo-young to get a side out at 2-12 behind.
And the double substitution coming from the Koreans, with Lee Soo-jung coming on along with Kim Mi-suk. I was surprised Chebukina wasn't the one benched when Morozova came on, because taking Tischenko off, she's been doing some good spiking. We'll see if Karpol's made the right move as far as Russia's concerned. Artemanova, thank you. 12-2, side out across to the Russians. 3 points away from a 2-1 lead. Badaktina serves. Spike off the block from Park Soo-jung. On side out again. And Hong comes back on for Korea. And Kim Ho-jung gets a rest. Serving for Korea, Park Soo-jung. Badaktina meets it. Nikolina outside, oh, too close to the net. Tipped it over and out, did Artemanova. Wasn't the ideal set. And so Korea moved to 3-12. Park to serve again. Morozova digs it out. That's a better set. And a better result for Russia. Kim unable to control the dig. And Chebukina will serve for the Russians. They've been stuck on 12 for a while. They want a couple of quick points. Oh, that was just over the net, and that posed some problems for the reception. Artemanova! Great block. Nikolina looking for space at the back of the court. The Koreans saw it coming. G tips it over. Smart play by the Korean captain to win the side out. And they won't lie down in this set. 3-12. Lovely tip over there. Great dump from G, the Korean captain. By Badaktina. Artemanova looking for a winner. Morozova went for it first time. The block there again. Kim through the block. Badaktina digs in the back court, but it went out. Tischenko to come on for Morozova. And I'm not surprised, really. Morozova not enjoying the court time she had against the Chinese. But Tischenko and Chebukina have been playing well, the other two receivers. A cheap side out for the Russians. Another substitution for the Russians. Uyatova on for Artemanova. And Karpol has been inclined to give Artemanova a bit of a spell. Slaps her on the back. He's happy with her work. He's having a few words to her. Watch the serve now from the Russians at 12-4. Into the block, into the net. And the Koreans work the double substitution after winning the side out.
Kim Nam-soon comes back on alongside Lee Do-hee, who will take the serve. And as she runs to one end, at the other end, the Chinese squad has appeared to have a look at what's going on out here between these two. to see what the outcome will be, if they still have a chance. What a huge spike from Menchova to win another side out for Nicolina. As I say, the Chinese watching just behind the Russian service line as Nicolina goes very long. Well, we haven't seen too many mistakes from the Russian captain throughout this match. That's a glaring error from her.
Grapple fans get it.
In this third set at 4-12 behind. Nicolina lobs one up for Menchova, and the block only pushes it out. Park and Kim Nam-soon unable to deal with it. Here's Tischenko then. A dipper, and the Koreans have been struggling on that one. Park, good block this time. She flicks it up again for Kim Nam-soon. Here's Kim Young-sung. And Tischenko's underneath it. Short set for Chebukina. Doesn't work. The Russians struggling to keep it alive. Batuktina for Menchova. Did it get a touch on the way through? No, says the referee. And that will be another side out to the Koreans at 4-12. Well, it's a brave effort by the Koreans. Their back's really up against the wall in this set. Nicolina struggling with the set for Batuktina, and a good block this time from Kim. No, it's come back. Menchova lobs it over. Lee Do-hee can set once more for the Koreans, and this time it works. That will be 5-12. Well, they've won the last 3 points. Having come from 12-2 down, they're now 5-12 down. And that's a very deep serve, and too deep. And every time they've picked up a point, the Koreans have just given it away. And you can't really afford that when your opponents are at the point of 12. Back on is Artemanova, and she is receiving a huge cheer from the Hong Kong crowd. Spiking in this third set has been of a much higher standard. Menchova serves. Lee Do-hee sets for Ji, the Korean captain. It's read by Nicolina. Batuktina for Artemanova. Good dig from Yong. Got to go over this time by the Koreans. Free ball. Chebukina for Nicolina. Chebukina says she's going back, but it comes to Batuktina. And that's 13-5, and the Russians edging closer to this third set. And that will induce maybe even a cheer from the Chinese team. Here is Menchova then at 13-5, and it drops! Oh, another mistake from Hong Yi-yeon. Well, she's going to remember this night. It's presents for a 14-5 set point to the Russians.
It's Menchova's serve. Hong does a better job this time. She needed to. Ji into the block, and it's out off the block. Side out to the Koreans. And going back to take it, Kim Nam-soon. And all sorts of bother here in the third. And another error on service. Well, they made so few errors in the first set, which they won 15-9. Their game's come apart a little. Batuktina serves for the set. Lee sets. That's good. A smash from Park Soo-young. And it'll be Park to serve for Korea. 5-14. It's a better serve. Problem for Batuktina. Out wide, Artemanova. And tipped over by Chebukina. Came straight back to the Russians, and Chebukina took the right option. Little organisation in the defence at the net. Chebukina serving for the set now. Dug by Menchova. Artemanova for the set. Yes! At last. It took some doing. But in just over 18 minutes, the Russians take the set 15-5, and China's hope's still alive.
Very much so, and if the Russians take this next set, the sadness for the ladies in red is that they will be shut out of either the final or the third and fourth place playoff. If Russia take the next set and win it 3-1, it will be China in the final and Russia in the playoff for third and fourth place.
And the fourth set is about to begin. And serving for Korea will be Lee Do-hee. Chebukina picks it up. Nicolina with the set. Menchova into the block. Nicolina hustles over for the set again. And worked it off the block is Batuktina. Nicolina between sets was really giving the team a big G up. Tushenko serves. That's long. Well, Tushenko has made a number of errors on service. Have to watch a game or she'll be replaced by Morozova. Not much between those two. Tushenko receives it. Chebukina. Park sets. Off the block. Nikolina once more. Menshova into the block. And an error at the net from Russia. And perhaps a touch from Menshova. Anyway, it's with Hong. Got a bit of work to do to restore her reputation. Baraktina. And that was off the net, not off the block. So a point to the Koreans. They're at 2-0 now. And Hong to serve. The error's coming from Russia. Nikolina. Baraktina. Off the block and out. Baraktina impresses me. She's got all the skills. Receives, digs, can set when Nikolina's occupied elsewhere, and can spike. Menshova. He sets, and the spike from Park into the middle of the court. And the Koreans making a brisk start to the fourth. Kim serves. Baraktina. And Baraktina again. Park digs. And Park with the spike. But a nice block from Artemanova and Chebukina. The Russians looking to get something going here in the fourth.
Well, it's been a struggle for them so far. I thought that having won the last two sets, that the momentum would really be in the favour of the Russians. And then super blocking again from Nikolina and Chebukina, as Russia opened their account in this fourth set, needing to take this to go into the playoff for third and fourth places, where the likelihood is that they would meet Brazil. Korea on the offensive again, though. Baraktina can't get to that, and that will be another side out to the Koreans. Well, don't forget the Koreans were 2 sets to love down against the Chinese in their opening pool group and still came back to win 3-2. So they're not going to give this up without a fight, and that's another super spike from Artemanova. Well, I don't know how much of the ball landed on the line, but the linesman immediately put his flag down to indicate that it hit. Here's Chebukina then. At 1-2 down. That's a long serve. That didn't touch the line at all. Crowd doesn't like it. Saturday. You shout at them for every mistake they make. Here's Artemanova, and that's better spiking. And maybe his shouting was vindicated that time around. It's going to be another side out to them. Here's Artemanova, right down the line. Well, they're spiking. The second and third sets was much, much better. Good serve, Artemanova, Lido He, and that's a better spike from Hong Yi-yeon, who really has had a shocker of a match so far. Makes up with it a little bit there and wins a side out for the Koreans. Ji, their captain, with it. At 2-1 in the fourth. Chebukina from Nikolina and Tischenko, who really has been a revelation in this match. Russians then leading 1-2, and we're going to see the first appearance of Chang Yoon-hee coming on for the captain, Ji Young-hee. Chang Yoon-hee, who's been one of their most prolific scorers throughout the whole of the tournament and has been left out until this moment in the match. Lido He sets for Hong Yi-yeon, but it didn't fall for her, and here's Menshova. Blocking is good from the Koreans. Chance for them to set again. Chang sets for Kim Yong-soon, and the Koreans get another side out. 2-1, they still lead. Then from Nikolina, Baraktina sees the space, goes for it. Somehow the Koreans keep it alive. Touch, and they're all at the net. Here's Kim Young-suk, good blocking again, and a mix-up in communications between Chang and Lido He. And that'll be a side out to Russia. Well, it's a struggle here early on in the fourth set. And the serve now in the hands of Tischenko at 1-2. That's tight to the back door. Park sets it up, Lido He. Touch from Hong Yi-yeon. Baraktina up for Artemanova. That'll level it up at 2 apiece. That brings the crowd to life. And they'll absolutely raise the roof with every point that the Russians score. There you see it again. Too much on it. for Park Soo-young to deal with. That's at the feet of Chang. Lee Do-hee for Kim Sang-young, and good blocking from Chebukina and Bataksina means that Russia have swung it around on 2 love down and now take a 3-2 lead, and the Koreans have to call another timeout.
That's a great example of how defence can win you points. I mean, it's all very well to be able to spike brilliantly, as we saw Artemanova do from the backcourt. Karpol, well, you wouldn't know that his side was up 2 sets to 1 and 3-2. But these players with all the skills, Chebukina and Tashenko, both showing a great lift in form in this game. They've been able to keep Morozova out of it for the majority of the match. The Koreans join hands. Take to the court again at 2-3. Tashenko will resume serving. If they can get a break of a couple of points, they'll be very hard to stop the Russians. Lee. And it's nice timing on the set there. And side out to Korea. The serve, it'll be Hong. Oh, bad reception from Tashenko. A cheap point to the Koreans to level at 3-all. Hong again. Oh, a difficult one for the Russians. A good block. Menshova sets. Wide for Bataksina, off the block. No control on it from Kim Young-suk. And side out, Menshova to serve. Menshova sends it deep. Hong with trouble back there. It's going to be a free ball coming across for the Russians. What can they do? Bataksina! The Koreans still in it. Free ball comes back. Bataksina. Nikolina. Artemanova, watch out! Chang was there, but no way could she control that. And the Russians take a 4-3 lead. Big spike. Chang in the way. It's self-preservation, which is much the message. A big block. Chebukina at the net. And 5-3 the Russians. And China's chances improving by the second. An error from Menshova, though. At no stage will Korea hand this to Russia. They have to fight it out to the end. Serving is Kim Young-suk. Bataksina. Nikolina. Artemanova on this side. Hong did enough to keep it in play. The block was a sloppy one, but it did the job. Tipping it over was Bataksina. Off the block. Smart play by the Russians. And they're at 5-3.
Things really beginning to drop for them as well. I think I remember you saying last night when they were playing the Chinese that the Russians were losing, not only because the Chinese were outplaying them, but the luck wasn't running with them. And the Russians at the moment are having all the luck, and Chebukina with a super block at the net. Timed it to absolute perfection, and that's 6-3. And one or two of the heads in the Korean side beginning to drop a little bit. You can see Ji, the captain, is down on the bench. She's been staring at the floor through much of this set. But that's a better spike from Chang Yoon-hee to win the side out for them at 3-6. They've really got to hang on to the tails of the Russians now, or they can kiss goodbye not only to the final, but also to the playoff for 3rd and 4th places. That's the computation, and Artemanova is beginning to find her spiking hand and the spaces. Kim Young-suk unable to dig it out. Here's the serve from Chebukina. That's tight to the back line. Set from Chang for Park. The block is wide, and the Koreans have another serve. And unfortunately, their team members are the only ones cheering in this stadium at the moment. There's some local cheerleaders for the Koreans. I'm sure they'd be liking to cheer for the Russians, but they can't. They're having to cheer for Korea. Here's Russia on the defensive, basically. Nikolina, Menshova. And was it off the block or was it off the net? Yes, it was off the block, says the referee, and that's very much to the delight of this ever-increasing crowd here in Hong Kong. The C3, the jump start from Artemanova, and that set it up for them. and Menchova only had to put it away, and that's 7-3. Things beginning to slip away a little bit from the Koreans. Here it comes straight back, and the block was nowhere to be seen. Artemanova, huge serving again, and it pays dividends once more, and that's 8-3. And things looking really ominous now for the Koreans, so much so that they've called another timeout. What can Kim Choi-yong say to them to get them back from this? Well, we're seeing Nikolai Karpov, as we always say, despite a 2-1 lead, an 8-3 in this fourth, still plenty to say for himself, Steve.
I'm impressed with Artemanova. Goodness me, what a serve. That's just won them a couple of points on end there. And she's not yet 18 years old, already been to the Olympics. One of the best spikers in the game. Maybe not quite up there with Luis, but who is? And she might be next in line, and she's certainly got a better serve than Luis. And the Russians are back out on court already. They want to get on with it. They lead at 8-3, the Koreans in a hole. Artemanova. Lee sets. Chang tips it over the block, set by Nikolina and Tashenko. And at last a side out for the Koreans. The timeout once more doing the trick. And Chang to take the serve. Badaktina. Nikolina there. There's a poor dig in the backcourt from Badaktina. And now the Koreans in trouble. Kim tips it over. Menchova drilled it straight at Hong, and it went from her to the deck. Side out Russia, 8-3, Nikolina to serve. Lee out for Kim. And off the block. Lee Do-hee goes back for Korea. 3-8. Shibukina. To tip it straight over, did Nikolina. Again, a poor dig on reception. And a big smash from the Koreans. Earns them their fourth point. It's the service reception from the Russians creating some problems for them. This is better. Badaktina, Nikolina, and Badaktina comes in again and out, off the block. Often see that. Badaktina on the service reception comes straight forward to take the spike off the set. Worked for them that time. Tashenko serves at 8-4. Lee. Tashenko digs. But Kim Nam-soon, too good. Hong to serve for Korea at 4-8. Shibukina, Nikolina, Badaktina into the net. Never made the block. So perhaps not quite enough height on the set, or Badaktina arriving too late. Take your choice. But Hong serves. Korea 5 now. Russia 8. And once more the service reception is poor. Well, the Russians, having made so few errors, as you see here, if you hand it straight back to your opponents without your defence being set, you're immediately in big trouble. As the Russians were on 2 or 3 occasions there in the last couple of minutes, as the Koreans come back to 6-8.
Absolutely, 3 points straight from the Koreans to narrow the gap to just 2. And it looked there for a moment at 8-3 as though the Russians were going to run away with this fourth set and close out the match. But at the moment, the Koreans on a roll, and who's to say that they won't come back? We've been saying all along about their great comeback against the Chinese. And Morozova has come down onto the bench alongside Shmernova, and it's going to be Hong Yi-yon to serve. Badaktina underneath it, but struggling. Nikolina sets for Menchova, and off the block for a Chinese serve, a Russian serve at 8-6, excuse me. Shmernova then will come out to replace Menchova, and huge cheers for Shmernova as she comes out. She must think she's playing in Moscow. Or Italy. Or Italy, yes, where she makes her lira nowadays. 8-6 then Shmernova. Well, they won't be cheering her for much longer if she continues to do that. Brought in purely for her better serving skills, and she gives it straight away at 6-8. Here's Kim So-young. Underneath it, Badaktina. Nikolina will set for her. And it's saved this time by Kim. Lee Do-hee up for Chang Yoon-hee. What a great dig for Smirnova. Artemanova with a chance to finish it off, which she does. And the Korean bench going absolutely crazy as we see it again. Artemanova. And the Korean coaches were saying, get closer to it and push it down. Don't stand off. Chang Yoon-hee, Smirnova again with the dig. Artemanova wanted it over to her, but she's not going to get it. Lee Do-hee can set for Chang Yoon-hee. And Chang Yoon-hee, since she's come on, has made a big difference. That heavy spiking on the far side here, we see it once more. Lee Do-hee sets for Chang Yoon-hee. Plenty of space at the rear of the court. 6-8 then. Can the Koreans come back again? Kim. Baduktina, Nicolina struggling to get there. That's going to be tight for Artemanova, but made it look easy. And the side out's going back and forth at the moment. Chebukina will serve. There's the reason why she's serving Artemanova with that huge spike. And a bit of a mix-up in the Korean defense is Chang Yoon-hee looking for space. And, oh, Nicolina was so unhappy with Baduktina. Getting a double touch, was it? Yes, it was. And Nicolina turned to her and absolutely scolded her. Chebukina underneath it. Nicolina to Artemanova, and that has got too much power. Well, it almost spun off the hands of Kim and out of the stadium. Russia then with another side out at 8-6. And a lot of activity on the Russian bench. Dutch Chebukina is underneath it. Nicolina calling to Irina. You could hear her shout, Irina. That was Smirnova. And Smirnova makes another mistake. And Nikolai Karpov doesn't like too many of those and withdraws her immediately. At 6-8 then, the Koreans back on serve. Chang Yoon-hee. What can she come up with? It's a deep serve. Underneath is Baduktina. Nicolina for Menchova, who's just come on as a substitute. And it drops off the block and in front of Kim Nan-soon.
Tradition has no...
Well, the ball not only bobbing back and forth across the net, the serve bobbing back and forth. Koreans with a chance to set, and better work this time from Hong Yi-yeon. Hasn't done much right throughout this match, but she got that one right. And it will be the Korean side out. There is Hong. Korean side out to serve Lee Do-hee. Underneath it, Chebukina. Here's Nicolina for Menchova. The block is better this time. Dug up from Tischenko for Menchova, another chance. Sets down the centre. Artemanova, here's Menchova, and that's a better block this time from the Koreans. And they will close the gap to just 1 point. 7-8 now. Can they go any further?
Well, Hong and Kim combining there to squash the effort of Menchova. Baduktina reception. And she comes around to take the spike, but again the block is there. This time Hong and Kim. And 8-all, the Russians in trouble. Mr. Karpov's blood pressure is soaring. Chebukina, Baduktina. Suddenly the Korean defense is lifted. I think Chang has had something to do with it. Lee sets. Kim into the block. Chang sets this time. And that's long, but it was touched. No dispute from the Russians. There was a touch there. The crowd doesn't think so. But there's no dispute from the Russians. We'll say that was a correct call. Menchova off the block. Nothing going right for the Russians all of a sudden. And the spike from Kim Nam-soon. Korea 10-8. They were down 8-4. What a turnaround from the Koreans. Smiles on their faces. Well, Chang and Park holding hands as they came off the court. Their spirits are high. And the Russians, well, Menchova was finding the gap between the block. It suddenly closed for her. Karpov, well, he doesn't need to say much. The eyes say it all. It's, positively purple with rage. He makes regular visits to his doctor. I mean, he gets very upset. And the Chinese Taipei referee, Chen Ho-chan, comes over to tell him that's the end of that timeout. The serve is with Lee Do-hee. Korea up 10-8. Menchova this time. And once more, a block from Hong and Kim.
First time I've ever seen them do that, Steve. They all got together and hugged each other. got 7 points on the trot now. And their tails are right up. Artemanova the block, and it stays alive for them. But Shevchenko can put it away, and I've never heard such a huge cheering as Coliseum for any Russian person doing anything here, let alone playing volleyball against an Asian side of all things. Chang for Lee, for Kim. Rescued by Nicolina. Batatina with time for Artemanova to get up, and wow! 9-11, the Russians are back in it. Two huge spikes from Artemanova, and suddenly it's turned around. Look where she starts from. Well, she looks as though she's on a 100-meter sprint. Comes flying in, here's Kim, and suddenly the Russian blocking is better. Up for Batatina, that's a better block, now it's gone out. And it's 10-11, while the crowd are absolutely enthralled by this match now. The Koreans must have thought they've done enough to turn it around. They were 11-8, suddenly they're only 1 point in front. Here's Lee Do-hee, on the far side is Kim. Did that get a touch? Wait for the referee, yes it did. Oh, the crowd were up, now they're down. The Koreans have to serve, it's all happening here. Movements on the Korean bench, and it's going to be Kim Ho-young to come on for her serve, replacing the one and only Hong Ye-yeon, who in fact has been playing a lot better in this set. Third set really was a disaster for her, mistake after mistake. Here's Kim Ho-young then at 11-10. They need a couple more, just that bit of breathing space. What a thriller we're in for if it goes to 5 sets. Artemanova, she's way wide with that. Shevchenko turns away and stretches ahead, and that's 12-10 to the Koreans. Wow, what a match this is turning into. Kim Ho-young to serve again at 12-10. Dips in front of Shevchenko, deals with it. Nicolina to Batatina. Block is on, Lee Do-hee now to Kim. Nicolina behind them, set up for Batatina, and it's off the top of the block. And that will be a side out to the Russians at 10-12. And the Koreans, well, I wouldn't like to be any one of them. 10-12 then. Russian deep serve, Lee Do-hee sets the dummy, but well worked out by the Russians this time. Who's going to take it? The block is good, and it's Shevchenko. Shevchenko at 11-12 now, the Russians right back in this set. Well, you can come up with any manner of cliches at this moment, but really it could go either way, Steve.
And the crowd has been constantly reminded over the public address of what a Russian win will mean. It'll mean China through to the final. And a chance at $250,000 US first prize. 12-12, Menshova serve, Chang digs, Lee sets. The block is good! Just inside the line. And 13-12, Russia up. The crowd can barely stand it.
China clapping on the far side of the court, behind the Korean side. And that's long. And yes, they continue to clap the Chinese squad. But which side has it gone?
The Russians and the Koreans are arguing with each other across the net. But it's 14-12 match point. Off hands. And a dive from Tshevchenko was a despairing one. Side out Korea. Well, match point snuck up on us there. It's side out Korea at 12-14. Calling for calm is the Korean bench. Batatina, Nicolina, Artemanova! The set was perfect. The result inevitable. Match point again for the Russians. Batatina. Oh, it's a difficult serve to handle. Kim, off the block! There we have it! A win for Russia. And it's a win indirectly for China. Because China goes through to the final to meet Cuba. Russia producing their best form of the tournament. And Russia will go through to the playoff for third and fourth. Third prize money, $50,000. And the Russians will get a chance at that. Korea miss out, having played so gamely.
啊，佢係做足兩個，一個係錯誤嘅做法，同埋錯嘅犯規嘅，一個係正宗嘅好嘅做法。
呢個係好嘅教材嚟嘅。
啊！而家見到12號啊，呢位卡布嘅外將加斯祖娃咧喺度 set 波，我睇過攻勢果然有翻喎。4號巴布天拿再見一攻啊！而家見到前排咧有莫路素娃啦，網球識發球，俾到 set 題啊！但有少少咧，大家配合得唔係幾好啦。唉，呢個快攻打好啦！
呢啲就係正宗嘅快壓，即係
真係快啊！呢啲
如果佢球咁樣樣嘅就唔同啦，跳咗上去伸直嘅手，個波下低上嚟都未上到頂就撳落去，對方連攔都冇得攔嘅。
足夠本錢咯。
教有突啦，就係問題就係練得夠唔夠啫嘛。
咪 set 睇個配合好啲嘅話咧，咁佢嘅快波發揮到出嚟咧，俄羅斯波唔止係咁。
打成3局先見到一球咁似樣係咪啊？就咁解啦，個關鍵喺度。
嗱，強攻見得多啦，我哋見到44號位。
所以俄羅斯方面將來要再成功咧，更加打得好啦。佢一定要喺方面咧撐下苦攻。
執呢方面
啊，佢就會應該會更加好。對波唔錯，對波真係唔錯嘅，質素好好。
高度有，力量有啊！哎呀，空晒個位啊！咁亦都要讚一讚啊，沙倫李家睇到個空位，佢唔大力打喎，搓少少個波，落少少碗，打落個空位度。
而且佢係離網打，好難打呢個波。
控制個波好
佢唔係埋網打㗎。
呢球波嚟，射線當得企，
覺得好靚睇佢真係。
打唔透夠氣，而家自己嘅攻勢啊！出界啊！攔網出界啊！呢個波暫停。
其實以俄羅斯咁高大嘅攔網球員啊，日本隊能夠打破佢嘅攔網實力，或者係打佢觸手出界而攞分咧，都係真係難能可貴嘅。
即係證明個力係有嘅。
係啊。
咁你話俄羅斯嗰啲高度幾高啊？係咁樣罩住你，咁你都可以打甩佢啲手咧，唔出界嘅。
冇錯啦。同埋打嘅路線咧，一定要多變同埋刁轉。
啊！呢樣佢真係做得到啊！啲手腕轉得好靚。
做到啊！
好啦，繼續比賽啦。啊，頭先係一個技術性嘅暫停嚟㗎，因為到咗10分㗎啦，10-8。日本隊嗱，我哋見到佢咧，成日係做咗啲手勢、一啲嘅暗號嚟㗎，即係話下一球打咩波。咁而家呢個波咧冇下一球啦，因為8號啊，安達波魯娃咧就喺4號位啊成功咧得手呢個強攻，攞翻發球權。巴布天拿後球出發球好貼網呢個波。又扭手腕打，救到，幾後啊？4號位，哎呀出界啦呢個波！
呢個波俾得好靚啊！永富有記呢個波，個以為佢托去前面㗎啦，
係啦，嚟個背星啊！
突然間托去後面，托得好靚個波。
可惜啲，唔緊要啊！再做個大林素子。好波啊！好波真係冇得頂啊！又嚟啦，大林素子。啊！而家睇呢幾場波咧，我覺得大林素子嘅動作係冇3號李家咁好嘅，所以李家做得好足嘅。
冇錯，真正話由助跑起跳至到打內嗰個動作咧，三林李家做到十足。
嗱，睇啦而家，但係呢個波先
呢個波唔得啦，呢個波先得唔到位，佢走得埋去都好巴閉啦，已經好叻啦。
好醒目添啊！呢個波揼落個空位度啊！
佢都未人將佢跳已經要打波啦，已經要啊！
6號吉原之子，佢係勾手式發球嘅，中間唔係俾快，係俾個後波好靚啊！但係個快波嘅作用咧，就已經遠輕咗一個封網嘅球員㗎啦。咁所以咧，7號嘅文素娃帶上嚟咧，就冇咗個人封網嘅，所以咧啪一聲。
所以其實佢哋咧有本錢好好打㗎，後邊有條重炮，前面只能夠有把握去拉開咗對方嘅防守咧，後面條炮都打死你啦。
所以你話如果個快波你做得好，後排人哋都要封你啦。但係你做得唔好，有時放棄你個快攻咧，你個掩護俾後排打個機會細。
而且有一樣嘢我都覺得俄羅斯隊咧，我真係奉勸阿卡普，點解仲要啲球員升嘅波咁鬼死高？高挑大炮係嘛？不妨可以有咁高大球員，點解唔打平拉開咧？係嘛？個波升得平啲，扯出去嘅話咧， 佢實打到嘅，都打到嘅。只要平時練就呢樣嘢咧，都打到嘅。
信心問題個配合。
冇錯，咁佢打嘅時候咧，唔使對方攔網時間咁充足啊嘛。你平拉開嘅話，對方咧，你喺邊一點打落手咧，仲要睇你點落手打。但你舉高個波，然後等佢跌落嚟嗰下先打咧，就係嗰位打啦，嗰點咧冇得走喎。
唔夠快啊！
啊，
你個攻勢唔夠快。
所以咧，其實就算係重炮都可以用平拉開去打啫。
咁而家個趨勢都係打平拉㗎啦，好多隊。
硬係蘇聯隊即係俄羅斯隊仍然係咁樣。
頭先啱個波咧有少少跡象啦，
頭先個似樣啦，因為幾高咧係咪？係嘛，升幾
跳起嚟打。
佢嗰升得咁高，俾佢咧先去打，係咪啊？但係如果用平拉可以打到㗎，佢都準備好晒啦。
譬如你呢波咧對南韓隊或者對啲矮細啲嘅球員咧，你一掂你叫高個波我估你唔到啊！但係你對翻啲稍為彈力好啊，或者高度高。
所以如果對美國啊、古巴啊、巴西啊，咁佢又好慘嘅。
好慘嘅，俾人攔俾機會大嘅。
俾咁多時間人哋布防咧，就差好遠啊！
換咗球員出嚟開波，3號嘅利高連拿。呢個波係攔到，不過係出咗界，咁所以球證亦都俾咗咧日本隊波。4號3號美加都到㗎呢個波，趙偉強攻，呢條線係犀利喎，真係顧名思義嘅大斜線啊！
路易斯啊，古巴就係打呢啲波啦，30度打落去嘅，打大斜線蝦都冇得蝦嘅。
哇！犀利啊！大家睇到慢鏡頭啦。
俄羅斯一樣可以打到嘅其實，但係問題就係睇下係咪下下俾到
個位到唔到啊？
冇錯啦，個關鍵就喺度咯。
觀眾嘅支持啊！俄羅斯個個都想睇多局波啦，繼續喺度追翻局啊！又有啊！掂啦！觀眾又開心，我哋都開心嚇，睇多局波起碼都，而且希望咧俄羅斯個水準真係打翻嚟，起碼場波好睇啲啊！
追翻啲局咧又唔同打法啦，
唔同打法㗎，
即係因為呢個時候咧追嘅時候嗰隊波咧就嗰個士氣旺盛。
你千祈唔好俾佢起啊！真係啊！
如果假如真係要追翻多局添2-2嘅話咧，咁呢場波最好局咧就刺激啦。
咁而家咧就係2-1嘅局數，日本隊暫時仲係領先緊第4局嘅比賽啊，第4局㗎啦。
嗱呢個波就係第一傳類似啦，升到埋網俾人一撳死，所以俾個醫院波一傳唔好啊，就輸咗球啦。
呢一傳又有啲問題，咁set 打有啲問題。咁如果呢兩樣都改善咧，呢隊波
一傳唔到位係咪啊？
係咯，幾次都係。
個膝頭點升啊係咪啊？所以又好慘啊！膝頭又俾人累死㗎。你點俾嗰啲波一傳咧，要佢撲埋去 set 嘅點 set 啫？如果下一傳係到頂嘅話，幾好 set 啊！
咪爭咁啲啊！而家呢個4號扣球式發球，左手神將啊！一下撥波撥咗落個後場，捉手到後場啊！我哋見到場地咧就好得意喎，嗰啲質地我見到佢。
呢個係個 Talaflex，Talaflex 咧就係一種膠嚟嘅，專係俾排球比賽咧係用嘅。咁其實咧，而家世界各國都用到 Talaflex，因為喺比賽嘅時候咧，佢係一塊塊咁鋪落去，好似捲埋咗棉被咁樣嘅。然後捲埋放落去，咁又唔使度長，又唔使彈線，係咁樣㗎啦。
咁佢點樣固定嗰塊嘅 flex 咧？
佢就咁鋪落去嘅啫。咁鋪落去，因為佢好重嘅，鋪咗就係24小時之後就會攤直晒嘅。
哦。你
唔可以即刻鋪啤打過嚟咧，一啲線一塊塊嘅係嘛？但係一定要係鋪落去咧，係24小時之後佢先慢慢咧係會壓死個地下。
哇！咁香港有冇呢啲咁嘅？
有，香港體育館裏面咧，就係我哋舉行呢啲世界嘅超級大賽嘅時候咧，我哋已經係用咗呢一套嘅 Talaflex。咁香港套咧就係喺呢個日本買翻嚟。
哦。咁大家如果有機會去到行體育館留意下排球賽咧，嗰啲嘅場地而家就由呢個新嘅質地叫 Talaflex
對球員嚟講咧係好大保護作用嘅。佢救球啊，飛身救球都唔會點受傷嘅。
哦，咁好喎，又夠重，跌落又唔會受傷。
而家個彈性咧係俾佢哋咧係，當佢跳起身落地嘅時候咧，有少少避震作用咧，而且震親佢個後腦。係呢個主要係現時嚟講世界上咧最推崇呢隻 Talaflex。
我有冇睇呢兩隊波呢個 Talaflex 上高咧打成點啦？咁唔怕落地啦，咁所以可以飛嚟救波啦。日本隊慣咗㗎啦。好咧，嗱又係呢個就真正嘅快波啦。
冇錯啦，簡直咧，當 永富有幾多未曾嗱睇下慢鏡未托球咧已經跳咗啦，係咪啦？呢個就小平快，
仲拉開啲嚟打添嘅，
冇錯啦，呢個小平快拉開小平快，咁呢波就係最難防守嘅。
呢下波係甩手腕啊，打出界啊！咁但係如果係日本隊，我睇見佢咧喺前邊打快嘅機會佢哋都唔多，佢哋好多時打翻個後快。
冇錯，因為其實小平快咧唔係咁易配合嘅，一個波喺網頂一路走過嚟咧，喺網頂得個波位係咁走過嚟咧，你要決定喺邊度打㗎啦。
個點打嘅點少嘅。
係啦，如果你打個點咧把握唔到咧，就會打空氣㗎啦。
我頭先講話波係靚啊，咁而家咧我哋見到卡布咧少鬧咗啦，咁啊唔知係咪要講嘅嘢講晒啦，咁啊希望啲球員咧知佢想做乜，咁啊而家呢個
嗱呢個波你見到正話加斯做巴托呢個波就係平拉開啦，見唔見到啊？
即係稍為㗎，呢啲啦，
個波喺佢個位一路一個斜角，好似射出去咁射出去俾佢打，就唔係拋物線咁高墮翻入俾佢打。
所以見過功效嘅，自己應該
即刻攔佢唔到啦，係咪啊？佢因為唔知邊一點打啊嘛。啊家寶又想喊啊家寶。
家寶見攞到發球權又俾翻人咧，就覺得有啲失望啊，捏捏個眼眉頭啊，勾手打啊！
呢個唔好讚佢啊！呢個波
係失咗位，
即係話嗰個 set 卡托咗後面，個隨手上得太快，呢個其實要鬧至啱嘅嗱，鬧啦！
家寶鬧啦，
鬧啦！呢個唔讚要鬧嘅仲要。
就你唔好表演啊！呢個波係失誤嚟㗎，又即刻失得喎，第一傳失誤啊！頭正話係觸網啊，
日本都觸網，好彩日本都斷網啦，真係。
如果唔係自己嗰邊死添。
冇錯啦。
12號加斯祖娃。
所以有啲球員咧，佢如果打勾手嘅時候，其實我哋應該唔好讚佢嘅，以為好得意嘅，其實咧佢係被逼咁做嘅。
即係正常唔會咁打嘅。
冇錯，做得好嘅話，助跑準備拉手，點會就搞到要打勾手啫？
咁啊，而且啲勾手嘅時間咧，比我哋普通教嗰種嘅拉手方法係慢啲添嘅。
而且你睇唔得到人對方係邊一度攔網啊！你喺後面出手，同埋你拉手喺前面對住個波打落去咧，嗰個視野唔同啊嘛。係。
咁啊，而家見到分數啦，第四局波，俄羅斯5-3啊領先緊，就睇佢追唔追到呢個第四局啊！追到啊好睇喎，因為最後嗰局咧就係打呢個直接得分制，好緊張嘅。俄羅斯發球，哇破壞一傳
啊！一傳得分，
直接得分啊！
冇錯啦，呢個波咧係極少見嘅日本隊能夠咧一傳輸波嘅。
好少啊，真係好少啊！防守見稱啊佢哋。10號加斯祖娃繼續發球啊，個波好飄嘅。背飛，但係睇到路，個波亦都唔係好夠快啊！趙偉強攻，但係打完之後俾人罩翻落嚟咧，打住自己個頭而出界嘅。
呢個波咧佢係好埋網嘅，升個波。
太貼啊！
太貼網係好難打，四隻手撳住你點樣打過去啊？係咪？升開少少啦，嗱好打啦呢波，係嘛？起碼都唔使咁埋網嘛。
跳起封網電網啊！冇辦法啦。
因為你離網攻擊嘅時候咧，佢一定要咧係跳起嘅時間咧唔可以咁快啊！啱啱你落完手跳起就最啱。如果跳嘅時間唔啱嘅話咧，佢好容易咧有趨勢就伸過去一揩個網，都失咗個平衡啊！
咪頭先啱個波啊仲慘，直情有個誤會之下咧，冇人去攞個第三碼，白白輸咗個波。好在即刻攞翻發球權，個勢如果繼續冇嘅話咧，就有危機㗎啦，俄羅斯。即刻攞翻發球權先，穩陣啲啊！唔好送禮啊！呢個動作呃唔到喎，但係個動作有做啊，前跳咗跳，再兜後面打。
呢個係一人嘅時間差，但係咧就係呃唔到俄羅斯球員等佢嚟啦，已經係。
所以又好易咁啊封到佢個網，救到都冇用嘅。
呢個波咧睇到俄羅斯嘅後場咧救球係真係差皮。
好空啊！
如果呢個波換咗日本隊咧，呢個波咁定咧，應該單手救起咗。
因為殺落嚟個力量
唔係猛，
唔係咁猛。
路途又遠嚇。有時間去起咯。呢個波咧就係睇到嗰個護幫咧，嗰個所謂嗰個攔網咧，自己進攻嘅時候嗰個保護不足啦。差唔多鬧抽筋啦而家嚇。後邊冇揞住上去保護佢啊！如果唔係，嗰個反彈係救得翻嘅。
夾硬喺中間拱個2號波，咁以高度嘅取勝，真係呃落去嘅呢下波。7路文素啊，咁啊，唉，到啦，卡寶見鬧啦，咁啊攞翻發球權，等佢唔好咁嬲住啦。球式發球亦都好靚，
好靚好靚啊
4號位攔到網，啊呢個救波亦都好靚，到位啊，直然到咗 set 頭個頭殼頂。好，
嗰個好靚啊！佢就係扯散咗嘛呢個波，佢估唔到佢托後啦。突然之間4號巴布天拿打呢個位咧，於是乎咪搞掂啦。
又嚟過，佢啲開波好穩陣㗎。哎呀，唔好咁樣失誤啊！搞到好似不咗過去安全。
哎呀！
呢下波日本隊就彈出嚟晒，呢個波咁樣俾到
好少見佢俾個波一傳就拱過網嘅，俾人哋打一個叉燒嘅真係。
咁第二啲隊伍就冇得講啊！日本隊呢方面啊，
冇錯啦，
好少見，
極少出現。
以往啊，哇！啲教練我諗鬧到好緊要。
啊，今次阿橫田咧就好有修養嘅。
好得意啊！
聲佢，可能翻去之後先鬧。啊，但係喺場佢又唔鬧，
留翻去先鬧。10-5，哇！拉開咗喎。俄羅斯有啲轉機喎呢個波。
因為頭先連續幾球波日本隊出現錯誤嘅，我話。
係倒轉。而家到俄羅斯出現錯誤，頭先賺開文素啊開波，冇乜失拖，而家失拖咗。永富有紀，俄羅斯嘅強攻救到啊！俾翻耀位大林素子，哇！波子機咁啊，直達兩下打落個手度嘅，
彈佢啊！
呢啲波好難救嘅，捉到手落翻住。
彈下彈埋佢。
睇翻嚟呢個波，打住個手側嘅。哇！10聲就係呢啲波啦！
我哋聽到全場觀眾話一聲係嘛？
佢哋都話啫。
就呢啲波直情咧，好似男仔打法一樣啊！
霸嘅真係呢啲真係特別，哎呀慘啊！嗱呢啲波咧，如果我哋出帶住呢隊波去打咧，呢啲係淨揞住個心唔識噏嘢嘅，淨俾激死啊！唔可以咁噶嘛！打個咁靚個波，開波就失誤咗。啊咪日本隊多謝啦，你又穩陣啦開個波，再嚟一球啊！好啦，呢球波難到啦，又係俾佢手中順啊見佢安達摩路娃。卡布拗頭，呢下拗頭就話：喂，搞啲啦，唔係鬧嘅。
佢拗頭已經好客氣㗎啦。卡布個面咧紅卜卜㗎，佢真係好似做戲咁㗎，佢真係紅卜卜個面鬧。
真係好似發得好，發得好緊要啊！後排攻擊，但係個力度唔夠啊，好易起到啊！做咩波啊？做4號位又係俾佢啊！安達摩路娃。
其實我又係唔明啊，為什麼要拱個波咁鬼死高咧？係咪？嗰陣時安達摩路娃已經上咗離網係2米。
停先跳嘅。
冇錯啦！如果你俾個波一拱平出去，即刻打死啦！即刻。
好得意啊！啲球員佢都唔係預計你俾咁高嘅，佢都有少想定。
佢唔想你俾咁高嘅，其實你平推過嚟啦，就搞掂啦，其實。
你夠膽做，佢夠膽打㗎啦。哎呀，出咗位，落咗地啊個波！俄羅斯嘅發球啊！
尼高連拿咧都好穩陣，佢都係老大姐嚟㗎啦。
啊，63年出世啊！
呢個波好快，呢個波真係好快，一舉上去咧，個波未人升盡個去勢已經俾佢撳落嚟啦。呢啲真係真正嘅快波啦！
哎呀，唔出界㗎，撲墜落嚟呢個波，大家鬥盡，冇事。日本隊呢方面有攻勢啦，拱個4號位，哇，手好重，但係救到啊呢個波。你又嚟一個直線波啊，但係冇人掂到喎。